Now so far we've made two major jigs. This first one mills the end so that we can cut the tenon. This second jig allows us to cut an accurate dado down the side of a rail so that it can receive a panel. The third major problem in mortise and tenon joinery is cutting the mortise, but I don't think I can do that with a circular saw. In order to do that, we're going to need to introduce a new tool called a router. Now, I haven't been using this because I've been operating without 110 volt electricity for some time, and I only have battery powered tools. However, on this location I have all sorts of luxuries like running water and actual shade. So anyway, let's move forward and I'll show you a few things we can do with this tool, starting off with the jig we just made. To set this jig up as a router table, we first need to take the circular saw out. Second, we need to take the circular saw retainer out as well. Now we'll be assembling it back the same way as before, except the router is going to be installed here. Also, it'll be used upside down, so we're going to need two legs to hold it up as a table. Let's get started. I'm going to start out by locating and drilling the hole for the bit. Different models of routers have different ways of attaching them to a base. This one has 3 screws holding its plate onto the base. I'm going to take this plate off and find a way to screw it to the top. Your router may be different, so you'll have to figure that part out on your own. Carefully locate your router so that that bit is centered right on the hole. Also make sure that any controls are facing the right direction. Now the fence will be at the back of the table, so make sure that any controls are facing the right direction for use later on. Once you've got everything set up just right, go ahead and trace out the base. Every router is going to have a different base, so you'll need to figure out how you want to attach your router to your base. So I'm going to have to countersink the top and prepare it to receive these screws. Once you've attached your router base to the table, you can go ahead and reinstall the fence. Now that you have the fence installed, you can see where the router blade is going to come up. You can see that there's no space for that cutter head. Don't worry about that too much, because the first time you use a router bit, you'll just automatically cut that hole there. You just have to be a little bit careful the first time or two. MDF isn't really strong, so the screws that are holding my router base in place here may pull through that MDF at some point. If that happens, I'll cut out a hole here and insert a piece of hardwood that'll be much more durable. I also need one more detail to finish this project off. I can't just use it on top of a table like this, or else it's going to fall. So you've got two choices. Either you can clamp this down to a bench, except for I rarely have a bench to work on, or I can put a frame underneath it to act as its own table. Now I'm going to do that, but I'm going to make that table into a box so that I can use it to store my router and any other parts and pieces that might fit inside there. That went a little bit fast, but at the end it's just a box. I cut up panels to fit, screwed them in place, installed a lip around the top so that the top won't fall in, and then installed the bottom. The only really interesting thing about the bottom is those little triangle brackets are the top corners that came off of the fence that we made yesterday. Waste not, want not. Well, there's still a few things that need to be done. For one, the power cord needs to come out the side somewhere. I need a little bit of sanding here. And a dust port would be handy as well. Let's finish that off. Now that the box is done, I fed the power cable through the back of the box. I can put tabletop right here on top, adjust my fence to where I want, and there's my router bit. I can just turn it on and there you have it. I've cut a nice little rabbit with no trouble at all. There's still a few more adjustments I want to make to this jig, but I think you get the idea. Now I'm going to disassemble it, put everything inside the box, and keep it as a toolbox until I need it next time. So this fence from yesterday is proving very useful. I've turned it into a sliding rib fence for my circular saw and an adjustable fence for my router table. Now we've taken the top of our jig and turned it into a router stand and box to hold all of our tools. If you've enjoyed this project, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching.